All right. Good morning, Doug. I have been slacking and trying to keep up with the pace of news these days, or of disinformation or noise. So I don't have a whole bunch of stuff on my list to talk about today, but I know there were a couple on yours that came to your attention.
Mm. Well, it's not that I've researched these things. They're things that I've absorbed almost by osmosis, floating in the cesspool of media. And a couple of things have risen to the top and were drawn to my attention. Number one is uh, there's a very cute actress, blonde, blue-eyed, shapely. Her name is Sydney Sweeney. And she was contracted by the by a
Um,
denim company called
um,
American
Eagle.
Eagle, right? And saw the ads that she did, and they emphasized her assets, and they said, um, "Our genes are good genes." It was a pun on genes as in blue jeans and genes as in genetic makeup. And the interesting thing about this is that the stock of the company uh, American Eagle went from $10 to $12 overnight. It became a meme stock because of these ads that it ran. Okay, that's great. Finally, they got a good-looking white girl peddling jeans.
Yeah, it reminds me of like the 1990s.
Yeah, exactly. So it was great. Now you'd think any corporate management with half a brain would say, wait a minute. The market likes this. They like it for our stocks. And maybe people will actually buy our jeans because they want to look like Sydney Sweeney. But of course, what have they done? Even though all those good things happened, they pulled the ad because the usual suspects, uh, uh, psychological criminals, started saying, "Oh, this is racist," blah blah blah, and they pulled the ad. And our our La Vegas, who writes crisis investing for us, did a very nice article in his daily blog, which we ought to link to because it was such
Yeah,
a good
actually,
covered all the
and maybe
bases.
I'll even share it here while you're talking. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing about it is it turns out that these corporate whores from American Eagle uh, a few years ago, when DEI was in full flare, uh, had a picture, had an ad, but they had there she is, some morbidly obese, well, tuna, or is that a whale, or is it a rhino, or a hippo? I'm not sure what it is. Got stuffed into a pair of their jeans, and that's actually an ad that they ran before. I mean, what's the matter with these people? Who sees themselves as wanting to emulate somebody who's that physically degraded?
As compared to this.
Yeah, exactly. So I hate corporate America for all kinds of reasons, but not least of them is that they're stupid and self-destructive
And cowardly.
and cowardly.
Cowardly.
Yeah, they are.
They get something that works, it basically increases the value of the company by 20%.
Yeah.
And the stock is now down. It's still up from where it was before because it went way up, but it's down to from maybe $12 to 11 and a quarter or something like that now. But
I think it's on the way down because the market has got to realize, wait a minute, these people are stupid and dishonest and weak and cowardly.
yeah, and I just don't know, like, you'd think eventually profit motive would jump in here at some way, but these
So
people, they all have such cushy jobs. They're making a lot of money. They don't want to lose their board seats or whatever, and you know they, and they have no balls. I guess I don't know. It's
I
insane.
think the management of almost all corporations are like that. These people that rise to the top, if they're not founding entrepreneurs who are in a different class, they're people that climb the corporate ladder by backslapping and backstabbing. not by being productive and creative. So,
Yeah. Yep. Not making any big mistakes, which means not taking any risk, which means probably bringing no real value, honestly.
yes, they're basically bureaucrats, these people that run the corporations who just as easily could work for the government. And of course, this has a lot to do with why we have a revolving door between big corporations and the government. They're the same damn people. It makes sense on every level. They're the same people.
Well, and they really are literally becoming more and more the same people as our system becomes more fascist in nature, honestly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's
So
crazy.
uh, I guess this is further reasons to believe that we really are watching the continuing collapse of Western civilization.
I think we are. But it was nice to see somebody try something uh, healthy, you know,
It was
authentic.
to actually have a healthy, good-looking girl who, God, unbelievably, was a white girl with blue eyes on top of it all. Healthy, good-looking, and white? Oh, can't have that. Better
Yeah.
strike that.
Yeah, well, I hope she's not straight. I mean, because that would really be a problem. I mean, if she's white, blonde, and straight, I don't know. I just don't know.
I'll conjecture that she's straight because she
She
just
look
looks. I mean, there's no hint of purple hair or hostility or craziness about her in those pictures. So,
no, no, there's not. There's not. But another thing I know was on your radar was the great success that the tariffs are having, and that Lutnick says he's annualizing it at $700 billion a year in annual revenue.
yeah, and he's presenting this as being a good thing. The tariffs are a success. But the unfortunate thing is that this is bringing in, if he's right, and I don't think he's going to be nearly as right as he thinks, but we'll find out, that that is directing $700 billion a year, if he's right, to the maw of the enemy, the state, giving them more power, more assets, which have been taken away from the American people. So he's selling that as a good thing, but it's just making the state bigger. He's feeding the state success, maybe, of this program, when actually, so from an ethical and philosophical point of view, Lutnick is he's a fucking moron. Uh, and then, in conjunction with this, Trump is having, you know, being, we used to say, Negro rich or rich like a drunk sailor. All this extra money. Now Trump wants to dispense from the goodness of his heart $600 to every American. Well, to make them, well, of course, the government takes away on this side and it gives back on this side. So who's your daddy? So this is all insane. It's completely backwards. And as time goes on, um, look, I like the fact Trump has done some good things. Like unlike that abysmal baboon Biden, uh, he was talking to Putin. That's great. I mean, if you want to not have a nuclear war, it really helps to talk to your adversary, which the previous administration wasn't doing. Great. Appreciate that on Trump's part. And the fact that he's anti-woke, that's great. And the fact that he wants to massively deregulate, although Doge has kind of gone away, that's great. So Trump has done some good things, but on the other hand, the fact that he really is a narcissist and an egomaniac and a megalomaniac is coming out on the other side. So
Well, and he's
mixed.
clearly a statist, you
Oh
know.
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that's the big thing. I mean, he might want the state to be different, but he wants it to be very powerful and, for it to be able to he wants to make the decisions and making the decision of to reward us plebs with some bread along with the circuses. The $600, I guess, is, part of the deal. So
that's right. As long as he's in charge and he'll do the right thing and the good thing, uh, so it's all fine. So he's dangerous, and I think he's going to get more dangerous.
I think it's going to get a lot more dangerous. And, and I think there was this celebrated European trade deal where I heard a lot of Americans uh, talking about how he just crushed the Europeans because, there's zero tariffs on American goods going into Europe, 15% on everything that they send to us, that we're going to sell them $750 billion of LNG, which is basically double the rate of what we've been selling them so far. And also that they're going to have, of course, buy weapons from us. And in addition to that, that the European companies are going to invest $600 million, some of which has already been announced in all these different deals, like reshoring some uh, prescription drug manufacturing to the U.S. But all that's happening too, and it's like, well, what is Europe getting out of it? Or what kind of a deal is it? And they're like, yeah, we just showed them who's boss. Is
Well,
kind
yeah,
of what Americans view.
it really is kind of an unbelievable deal. So what's in it for Europe?
Well, my guess is if you listen to what Scott Bessent talked about at the very beginning of the administration, is that they were going to pursue a a different approach to foreign policy. They were going to combine trade and military and all the tools of the State Department, all in alignment, a whole of government approach to solving these problems. So there's no way that this trade deal is not entangled in some way to military deals. And it's not just about selling weapons. And it's not surprising that the next day Trump comes out and says, yeah, Putin, I said 50 days. Now it's like you got like 10 or 12. So my guess is these European leaders are legitimately like they have gotten themselves, I think, into a legitimate. They're legitimately fearful of Putin. Like I don't think it's legitimate, but I think they actually feel that way. I mean, if you watched that interview what we talked about before, I don't know if you ended up watching it, the Build interviewer with Tucker Carlson. I,
Yeah, I did. What a weak little weenie he was.
right, but he represents the German establishment thinking. And they really are seriously terrified of Putin. They so so how what does Europe get out of this? I think they get what they need most, which is our support.
It's amazing. They're like scared little kids. It's that see a boogeyman under the bed. But the fact is that Putin impresses me as the most reasonable and the most rational and the most thoughtful of all the European leaders. And it Russia is not going to invade Europe for all kinds of reasons. It would serve no useful purpose. It would be extremely expensive. And Putin is somebody that sees that. So these Europeans are all basically they're psychos, frankly. And Trump is egging them on. I mean, it's wonderful that European countries are only spending 2% of their GDP for weapons previously. Now they ramp it up to 5%, and they're going to have a shitload of weapons. And what do you do when you have all those weapons? Well, you got to use them while they're still good. And they're doing, and the same thing is true of Japan. I hadn't even thought about this. Japan is only spending about 1.5% of its GDP on weapons, but the US and Trump are pushing them to spend 5%. I mean,
Right. And they got the same deal, 15%.
right. So what is this? So that we can fight and win a global thermonuclear war against both Russia and China?
I think it's clearly the military cooperation is part of the deal. And I don't know, for these people who are saying all these nasty things about Trump earlier, these European leaders, and now they've changed their tune, done a deal, no, stopped any hard bargaining with him, gave him everything that conceivably he wanted. I'm guessing in return that there were some promises made about what would happen with Ukraine that they were happy with.
And they're just encouraging his naturally narcissistic tendencies.
Yep.
So none of this is good. And the question is, well, wait a minute. What are the Russians going to do in face of all this? I mean, you're backing the Russians into a corner. And even if you back a mouse into a corner, it will fight.
It will fight eventually, yeah. But wouldn't we have thought that that would have happened by now already? I mean, I thought I did. It's like for the first it was like, well, even Biden was like, if we send Abrams tanks over there, that'll be a red line. If we send F-16s over there, that'd be a red line. We're way past all of those, and yet this is still. I mean, there have been, assassination attempts directly on Putin, through a drone attack, apparently. There's been all kinds of things, and there's never been any, like, it's still only in his eyes, or at least officially, Putin I'm talking about, a special military operation. It's not war. So I,
Well, listen, I'm not a Putin fan, so to speak. All I'm saying is all people that lead great states uh, basically have criminal personalities. But of all the people out there, Putin is the most prudent and the most rational. I'm sure he sees what's going on, and he does not want to start World War III.
he doesn't want to start it, and I think that they know that, and it's being used against him. And I published an article on Sunday, and I'll just go over it real quick because I did it. I didn't put it on crisis investing. Maybe I will. I think International Man is going to rerun it, because Nick liked it. But basically, I was, DARPA. Lots of crazy ideas come out of DARPA. Many of them don't go anywhere, but they have this one program called Theory of the Mind, and the basic idea is to know the adversary and to try and shape the adversary's mind and decision set so that one, you could game out. This is all done through AI and done through massive data collection and any kind of profiling, any information that might be gathered on your adversary, the adversary's the circle around them and everything else. And uh, and basically then using these algorithms essentially come up with game out strategies um, that will attack them, but attack them in such a way that their response will not um, spin things out of control. And if you look at what's happened in Ukraine so far, I mean, what about when Ukraine actually invaded Russia? Wouldn't that have been something? It didn't. That didn't cross the line. I mean, so it makes me think, well, Palantir also was spun out of DARPA, okay? And DARPA was Palantir's first customer then, and it was spun out because it was doing things that could not be done legally by the government to do, okay? So they have a private company do it. And we know official accounts that Palantir has been responsible for what they call targeting in Ukraine, also in Gaza. We know for sure the U.S. has used it in Iraq, Syria, and Yemen, all within the last year. And so this is out there being used. And I think that when you think about all of the war that's happening now, the conflicts that are happening now, and how they've not escalated, this is theory of the mind stuff. In fact, and I would say this is like, and to give you an idea of what it does to an adversary, Palantir was a key vendor during COVID, providing the information is it's feedback on the population essentially. Was feeding that back to the U.S. government, and you know during COVID, the general public, not just in the U.S. but everywhere, was the adversary, and so it's gamed out. Like, where can we push, and where do we have to stop pushing, and what messaging needs to go out there from the leaders, and what messaging should be on social media, and how should all this be managed? And because, from my perspective, during COVID, as an American living in America at the time, I felt like the population was under attack, under attack. But the way it works is it creates such confusion among what they label as adversaries that you're not sure if you're being attacked, and if you are being attacked, who's attacking you exactly. And so you don't really know how to respond to it properly. It creates this confusion in the mind of the adversary, and helps shape the adversary's mind through messaging about how they ought to respond to things. And so I think this theory of mind warfare has been what's been driving everything we've seen since 2020. I'm sure there's other DARPA programs related to this and maybe come at it at different angles, but I think this is what we see with we know Israel uses Palantir for Gaza. I imagine that they were involved in help planning the pager attack, at least gamed out how it would work, and the responses from it, and then the clean sweep of Hezbollah, just major problem to Israel, just wiped off, as a problem almost completely, almost overnight. What happened in Syria? Same thing. And not to say these AI systems are perfect. They make mistakes, but it's like real time. Like, how do we adapt to improve it? And I'm sure they were used although there's evidence it was used in all the other cases, Palantir at least, in all the other cases I mentioned. There's no information yet that it was used in the Israel attack on Iran, but I would almost be certain that it was, and the anticipated response was something that might decapitate or cause disorder or fall apart. And the way this system works in real time, though, is it didn't go like they thought, adjusted the model and managed to create, so the conflict was beginning to spin out of control, and all of a sudden, 12 days later, it's gone.
It
And
makes perfectly good sense because it all comes down to psychology. And well, this is what Sun Tzu said in the 5th century BC. Well, it's all about psychology, understanding what your enemy thinks and understanding what you think, knowing yourself, your attack. Yes, you're quite correct. And there must be many, many reasons for these gigantic data centers that are accumulating an unbelievable amount of disparate information, sorting it out and putting it together to help them understand what the average person might be thinking and how he's reacting.
right, and since Trump has come into office, there's the DoD has doubled its contract with Palantir. Uh, ICE has signed a deal with Palantir. DHS, the Social Security Administration, and the IRS, and the Department of Transportation have all signed
Mhm.
contracts with Palantir. So essentially, the core, if assuming the main DARPA program, this theory of mind is a key piece of it all. This additional data collection, plus all of the data that's available for commercial sale, which is a shocking amount, like everywhere you've ever gone with your cell phone in your life is available for purchase. I can know exactly where you were, if it's available. Um, so all this data to go together creates is used to create a digital twin of you, you might be labeled an adversary or not. You know, DARPA's base case is that you're an adversary, but you're a party in there, and then they can game against you, and soon you'll be able to game against you totally automatedly with AI. I mean, it's shocking the way it's going. So
Well, it's actually worse than that because these people that control Palantir, uh, not only have they made billions and billions of dollars on the fact that Palantir is worth so much and they own Palantir, but they'll have lots and lots of ways to become even richer using all this information as insiders. Not
yeah,
like insider trading or what, but just insiders that have this information. So it's rather dystopian.
well, here's like a little example. I'm not sure that it was used for this or not, but I mean, Trump announces all of a sudden, he just pontificates on what tariffs will be and that don't actually come to be all the time, right? So
Just makes the
he,
stuff off the top of his head, really. But
yeah, but so he did this one on copper, right? And 2 minutes or 3 minutes before that, someone traded it,
hmm.
made a fortune. I mean, so they're front running in advance the markets, specific trades on these things. Um, yeah, so yeah, people are making a lot of money with this information. And one thing that I thought about, I said earlier this year, was that the Biden administration just seems like they were looting and pillaging on the way out, which they were. It seems now that these guys are doing it, but doing it in the the private market way. Launching
Right.
meme coins, front running trade rumor or trade announcements, um, starting cryptocurrencies, funds and stuff like that. I mean, there's they're doing it differently, but there's still the looting and pillaging goes on.
Well, fear not, because if Trump distributes $600 to everybody, it's like tossing a few pennies to the plebs.
Yeah, and people will feel grateful for it, you
Oh, they
know?
will. It's it's absolutely perverse. I've never believed as a laissez-faire capitalist that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. That only happens in a heavily state-directed system. But that's exactly what we got. And the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poor because we don't live in a capitalist system. As I've explained in the past, we live in a fascist system, a word which is unbelievably misused. And I don't want to go into explaining that again, but oh well. Listen, I thought we were gonna end our conversation today on a happy note because I always like to look at the bright side.
Yeah. Well, it's a beautiful day outside. It's winter here in South America, but still nice out. So we talk about the weather being good. I don't keep up with sports. I don't have any good sports stories to tell you. Um,
They're just hired gladiators anyway for whatever city or team they work for.
it's true. The good news is that our book is actually, well, I'll say it's done. It's getting it's at the typesetting, preparing to publish people now, and it'll be out within it's weeks, not months. It's weeks. And
Weeks.
so that's coming very soon, and I'm very excited about it. I think it's going to be the goal is that when you hold this book in your hand, you will have never held a book like this before, because of the information and also because we're attempting to make it beautiful at the same time and useful.
I don't know if I like that word beautiful. Trump uses it way too much. He's degraded the word.
Yes.
It'll be a big,
Well,
beautiful book, I'm sure.
it is a kind of a big, beautiful book, actually. Oh, well, I'm not going to let them steal our words. Fuck them.
That's right.
Okay, well, we'll leave it there for today, Doug. Be back on Friday with questions from members of the file. You can, through Substack, if you're a subscriber to crisisinvesting.com, you can ask questions to post them there. or within file.co, which is our private member area. So if you got questions for Doug, make sure you put them there and we'll ask them on Friday. And until then,
Great.
Doug, thank you very much.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, talk to you later. Bye bye.